Welcome to the Town Meeting Program, a show that came up on us rather quickly, but that's okay, because that's part of what we do in radio, is quickly. And our show is always quickly or largely premeditated, is brought to you by Cordova Wireless Communications, your local provider of wireless data services and cell phones. And that local provider provides your local talk show as well. Can you feel the symbiosis? It just all makes sense. The communication of information with us and Cordova Wireless on this Wednesday, April the 10th. Pretty fascinating conversation to share, featuring two guests. One very familiar to you, Cathy Renfeldt of the Cordova Chamber of Commerce. The other is Mondee Jamshidi Kent, who is actually in Hawaii, which we need to say properly in this show, Hawaii. Mondee is with Naupaka Pacific, and she'll explain a little bit more about what that is as we evolve through the program. What they're discussing here is what's called the Hawaii and Alaska RISE opportunity coming up. RISE stands for Regenerative Impact Studio Exchange. I know that sounds a little vague, but it'll all make sense here in a while. The short end of it is it's sort of a fast-track education program to help folks interested in possibly breaking into what's called regenerative tourism. This long-standing idea, but one that has gained more notoriety post-pandemic when everybody's brains kind of reshuffled and a lot of people started thinking about things in a different way. And we've talked about regenerative tourism on the program before. And it's the idea that people come to visit a place not just to consume from it, but to actually connect with the place and interact with the cultures and come away with something more than just what we think of as the typical touristy experience. You know, and not to knock on theme parks, because I love theme parks, but, you know, you go to a theme park, you're not connecting with the broader community. You're not connecting really with culture. You're riding rides and eating junk food and then, you know, looking at your videos and pictures afterwards and saying, woohoo, wasn't that fun? And it's not that that doesn't have a place in the spectrum of tourism opportunities, but there's a lot of interest, particularly among younger people, in going to a place to really immerse yourself in what they are about rather than going to see what they have provided for you. One of my favorite stories that I saw in a documentary about regenerative tourism recently, there were some women in South America who were creating these wonderful woven pieces of clothing, and their community was not far from where, I don't remember if it was planes or cruise ships, something like that. They'd bring in a whole bunch of people, and a lot of the times what people would do is get off the boat or the plane, and they'd just do stuff right in the vicinity of the airport or the dock and not really get out any farther than that. And meanwhile, these women were making these incredible things using techniques that went back a long time. And one of the women, one of the younger ones, had this idea that there should be some way to connect with those people that are coming in and share this experience, show them how these things are made. And then if they came away with one of these pieces of clothing, they would, you know, they'd really know the story behind it. Maybe they helped make it, and, you know, new friendships would be created, and there could be possibly more exposure for these women who were making the clothing. And basically the short of it is that worked. They came up with a way to get some of the people to go to where these women would gather to do this very old, I don't know if it qualifies as ancient, but very old way of making these garments. And everybody worked together and sat together and communicated and spent time together out in a very rural part, by the way, of this region of South America. And it not only created experiences for the guests that were very cultural and rich and memorable, of course, but it also gave the women making the garments more exposure and the opportunity to provide more for their families. And it was just this wonderful symbiotic relationship. And so that's in essence what regenerative tourism is. If you've never heard anything about it before, I don't know if that's the greatest explanation ever, but hopefully it gives you the idea. And as you'll hear Cathy say, Cordova is ripe with opportunities for people who would like to explore this. And that's what this Impact Studio program is about. And Mondee's participation in it has to do with an exchange of ideas between Cordova and places in Hawaii that have kind of been doing this already. And so everybody can learn from everybody and have a richer experience, and it'll end up with some people from Maui coming to Cordova and then some Cordovans going over to Hawaii. And it just sounds like a pretty fascinating opportunity. There is a deadline, though, if you decide you want to sign up. So you'll want to listen to what the program is about and particularly get the contact information so you can maybe be a part of this if you would like. It's an April 12th deadline if you want to make a mental note. So let's get into it and hear from Mondee, Jamshidi Kent, and our very own Cathy Renfeldt on the Regenerative Impact Studio Exchange opportunity, our subject on today's town meeting. So Mondee, let's start by having you tell us a little bit about you. What is your role in all of this?
Sure. Well, aloha. My name is Mondee Jamshidi Kent. I'm the principal over at Naupaka Pacific. We are a consultancy that supports making regenerative tourism actionable. And so we're very excited to be partnering with our friends in Alaska after having much success here in Hawaii.
Good. And is this partnership, does it extend beyond Cordova, or is it a Cordova-focused thing?
So we're definitely Cordova focused. This is a pilot. So first time we're doing this program across the Pacific. So we wanted to keep it very community centered. That's another name for regenerative tourism, by the way, is community driven or community focused tourism. And there's a really special story I have about why Cordova, but all signs pointed to connecting. And so we're very excited. We may be working across Prince William Sound. We'll see the applicants that come in, but we're just very excited to be starting at such a special place on the planet.
Oh, you're not kidding. All of us who are part of the community certainly understand that. So let's go through now what this is. You know, in the subject of my email you two sent me, it said Hawaii and Alaska RISE program, which is Regenerative Impact Studio Exchange. So just, you know, from the very roots of it, what is that?
Sure, happy to explain. First, the Impact Studio, if we frame it that way, Impact Studio is an accelerator program that supports Indigenous practitioners, environmental stewards, those who are about making impact, and then making it available for visiting community or the wider community overall. We have a lot of examples of this, but what happened around COVID time in Hawaii was our main tourism and economic drivers shut down, right? Because everybody was quarantined. So I worked with several organizations across the state, and our team did an audit survey to see what were the implications, particularly economically speaking, on what was going on and how might we serve them. So out of that came this program, Impact Studio. And our first iteration was in partnership with the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association, and it was called Kaya Ulu Ho'okipa Impact Studio. And for those who don't olelo, those who don't speak Hawaiian language, it's caring for community and community care, because unlike Cordova as a destination, we're considered a very mature destination with all the benefits and concerns with over tourism. Mm-hmm. So we are totally turning tourism on its head. Instead of serving only the visitor, we're serving community first. So I hope that kind of frames it really well. And so knowing that tourism is going to be a big part of the economic drivers in Cordova, we want to set them up right from the beginning, such that the community's voice is a part of how tourism is managed in Cordova and perhaps Alaska overall.
Okay. So you mentioned, I mean, a lot of us, virtually every Alaskan, I'm sure, is familiar with Hawaii. Most of us have been there and are aware of sort of the, like on the way extreme, you have the Waikiki and sort of central part of Oahu, very built up, not extremely distinguishable. Other than the roads, I found it very interesting trying to drive through with all those spaghetti roads. But anyhow, so you've got the lots of infrastructure and the big condos and all that sort of stuff. Now you say you've taken that paradigm that a lot of people might think of or be familiar with and sort of flipped it around. Can you give some tangible examples of how what you push for contrasts with what people might typically think of as Hawaiian tourism?
Well, so for almost 100 years, our marketing plan has been come party, enjoy the beach, drink a Mai Tai. It's Party the Pacific. And what that didn't include was the impact on local community. And so when we think about impact. So, for example, the organizations that I've worked with, we have been sort of this idea of sustainability and the more organic option of tourism, if you will, for a long time, for about 10 years. And then when I mentioned around COVID time, that was a big reset time for us. And so we reimagined what tourism could look like, such that it serves all of the community, our residents and also our non-human residents, by the way, who we share among Alaska and Hawaii, right? Our wonderful humpback whales and our kolea birds and migratory birds. And so with that natural connection, what we look at is starting with the environment and really rooted in our cultural values. And so what that's come to, I'm very honored and excited and actually very humbled to share, is we've been instrumental in supporting this entire philosophical shift in marketing and communication about Hawaii. So when visitors come, they're greeted with messaging, even from the airlines, saying, hey, please come, enjoy, but remember, this is our home and we need to care for this place. That's a wildly different message than, hey, come and party. And that also draws a wildly different customer, if you will, or visitor. So we're about stewardship. We're about destination management and also doing this as a collective, because I'm sure just like in Alaska, each community, each island is very different.
Right.
And so different concerns will be brought to light, and we want to really manage for those and support those. And so really there is a dialogue between community and industry that continues. And we're actually coming up on our next destination management action plan surveys. And so I say in this case, we're not operating it, but the state of Hawaii is.
Yeah.
We're just very intimately involved.
So when you talk about an impact studio, what does that mean in terms of how it's executed? Are you getting a bunch of people together to visit? Is it like a giant Zoom conference, or is it a sort of a program that evolves through several steps? What kind of define that from a dictionary standpoint?
Well, the Impact Studio, as I mentioned, is an accelerator program. And so what that means is those who are interested in regenerative tourism experiences as another leg of their business or a new leg of their business will be able to workshop it in a setting of maybe 20 to 30 individuals. So part of it will be on Zoom. There'll be an educational intensive, flex intensive. We're going to, because our time zones are different, we're going to work with that. But for about 8 weeks, we'll have classes twice a week. And then after that, there will be mentorship to support the onboarding of these experiences such that they're market ready. And they'll be hosted online and marketed with some of our partners across the Pacific. So it's a great opportunity for those who are interested, ready to embrace civics-based tourism and in welcoming the right kind of visitor we want to see. I think it's a great way to get involved. And also, it's also a great way to perpetuate one's culture.
Good.
Uh,
And who
supporting that.
would you say
We're
is
great with
kind
that.
of then the target audience for this? Who would be the typical? Would it be a business owner or just an average citizen, or who is going to be the type of individual you want to see sign up?
Great. Well, so based on our research, we looked at working with nonprofits, social enterprises, and what's called a solopreneur or an individual practitioner. So it's really open as far as folks who want to have an impact. What's important about that is anyone can apply. Well, of course, we're focused on Indigenous cultural perpetuation and with accuracy. So those who have a practice then have permission to share are certainly welcomed. But it's not only exclusive. There are other folks who are environmental stewards or organizations that focus on, for example, in Hawaii, we have coral restoration or pulling invasive species in the mountains, things like that. Those who are more environmentally focused, that's certainly impact that we want to uplift and support and have it be the case that each time a visitor comes, that they leave a positive, lasting impact instead of a potentially negative one.
Sure. And Cathy, let me check in here with you and see, do you have anything to add as Mondee and I have been talking here to sort of elaborate and maybe bring in the Cordova connection?
Sure. So I'm just grateful to be working with Mondee. She's certainly an expert in this field. It's a new and kind of, well, it's ancient, the whole concept of regenerative tourism, but it coming to the forefront as, you know, a model that is being put into focus for communities to usher in a more positive interaction with tourism. That concept is kind of rising. And so, you know, she's really on the forefront of that in Hawaii, and we're just grateful to be working with her. To kind of build on what she was saying, I love that Mondee brought up the community-driven definition of regenerative tourism, because that is really what the way that we're looking at it in Cordova. We are, as far as I know, the only community in Alaska, and maybe in, you know, a larger section of the U.S. that has a regenerative tourism destination strategy. So we're working as the destination management organization to align multiple stakeholders, everybody, as far as we're trying to align everyone as far as we can to follow this path. One other thing I'll say is that the applicants that we're looking for, yes, we would love it if there was some folks that were able to share some Alaska Native culture with visitors, but we think that there's space and room for nearly anyone who's willing to create an experience for visitors that has a net positive impact. And so that could be, like Mondee said, some benefit to local cultural revitalization efforts. It could be environmental stewardship efforts. And it also could just be helping to bring forth efforts that enhance quality of life for the community.
Great. Great. Well, and Cathy and I have talked, Mondee, about the concept of regenerative tourism before. I'd be interested, since it sounds like you've been in this for a while, whereas in Cordova it's a relatively new concept. Like I said, it's, as a concept itself, goes back a long way, but it's something that we're just sort of beginning to get into. How would you define regenerative tourism, and then maybe we could move that into an actual example of where it was implemented and has worked, and talk about some of the benefits. So first off, what is it in essence?
Great. Thanks for asking. It's a great question. So part of the fun of explaining what is regenerative is starting with what people know already and understand. So my background is in sustainable development. So I've been working with sustainable behavior change for pretty much my whole career, almost 20 years, and also in the nonprofit and social enterprise space. But as far as what is this new thing called regenerative? So if you imagine, we started with the whole slogan of go green, right? A few years
Right.
back. And then now it's okay, let's be sustainable. And now what's regenerative? If you consider it, I think the easiest way to explain it is if you consider it as a math problem or an accounting problem. What Cathy mentioned is you have a net positive impact. Regenerative is borrowed from regenerative farming, right? A great example is actually the mariculture and growing the seaweed that helps to not only revitalize cultural practice, but also it's a food source and also is great for habitat restoration. So when we think about regenerative, I mean, it literally grows very quickly. But what's happening when you regenerate is that it's sort of like a plus sign, like you're adding more to the equation than would normally be there. And it's really important for considering global systems, what's going on in our environment, but in particular locally, if one is seeing a catastrophic event, such as we've seen in Maui with the wildfires, or in Cordova in 1989 with the Exxon Valdez oil spill, when you're in a deficit situation, you want to have that positive impact above and beyond. So that's really what regenerative to me sounds like it means, but it's also very multifaceted.
Yeah.
It really means to make whole or to heal our places.
Okay, so when you apply that then to regenerative tourism, when you add the word tourism to it, what is your view of how that works and what that looks like?
I love it. It's so diverse and so fun and so localized to places that it creates, for one thing, it creates this collection of experiences that you can't get anywhere else. They're very connective, they're very personal, and it's really from the heart a lot of times. So you leave with lifelong friends sometimes, because when someone is vulnerable enough to share their special places or something like that in the context of learning and fun and just, whether it's food related or otherwise, it's really a very special moment. These are the things that we carry with us. And I think it's the reason we travel in the first place, is to reconnect with ourselves, our roots, and to these beautiful places that really feed our souls.
Yeah. So is this a concept that's been in Hawaii for a while, or is it relatively new in terms of its actual implementation there as well as up here?
So I understand that we've just switched into regenerative as of 3.5 years ago. This was the strategy coming out of COVID, and it was very community driven, in particularly with Native Hawaiian representation. I believe it's the first time that we have Native Hawaiian leadership at all the stages of our tourism industry, with the Hawaii Tourism Authority, and now newly working with the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement to administrate this new way of tourism. It's by design from our Indigenous community and perspective. So when we consider that, yes, it's new, and I'm doing air quotes. You can't see me. I'm doing air quotes. It's new, but as Cathy alluded to earlier, it's actually a return to a better interrelationship with our planet, with our local resources, with each other. So it's actually not a new concept overall historically.
Sure.
It's just a remembering that we're putting back into place.
So is there an example? I'm wondering if there's and I mean, if it's not appropriate to name a particular business or organization or nonprofit or something, but is there an example you can point to sort of before and after, or just to give us an idea if somebody's listening and thinking, I'm interested in the basics of this. This is something I'd like to model. Who's done it, and what does success look like? So can you point to sort of a crown jewel so far of somebody who's done a good job with this?
We have so many. Folks can, if they want to take a look, they can visit the Cordova Chamber of Commerce website and see examples of regenerative. But as far as in Hawaii, the first one that popped into my mind is, so one that's really special to me is with working with Manoa chocolate. So Manoa, it means vast or the depth of richness and so on. So that's very much is descriptive of the chocolate. Cacao can only be grown at a certain band across the equator. So when the founders started, they knew they wanted to plant trees. They're actually a sustainability company, but they just figured out later that this value add product of chocolate was the way to go. And I mean, twist my arm,
Yeah.
you know, who doesn't love chocolate? But through that, so an experience with Manoa chocolate is to perhaps visit their farm tour experience. So you can go and actually like become aware of how chocolate is grown and understand from bean to bar what is this sustainable agriculture look like. But what it's also doing is it's helping to spur a islands wide cacao growing community. We're actually re-establishing our agricultural roots. And while it's not a native plant, it's not harmful.
Right.
And so what it's doing is it's having impact in many ways. It's supporting agriculture, sustainable agriculture. It's supporting local job creation. It's supporting an industry for Hawaii that could be global. And actually, chocolate is an endangered product right now because
Wow.
of climate change. And
Yeah.
so it's really a special thing that we love to connect with, because again, who doesn't love chocolate? But it's a way to learn about these issues and support a local economy.
And so when the visitor comes in, they become integrated into that. It's not something that's just set up for visitors. It's a thing that exists on its own. And this branch then of that main function, you have this where you include visitors so they can experience it and learn, have a good experience, maybe become customers where they might not have before, take the concept back and potentially encourage other people to get involved. And so then, if I'm understanding right, that's that where you make it greater than the sum of the parts.
That's absolutely right. That's
Okay.
spot on. Exactly.
And I mean, we've got salmon and we have wilderness and we have, I don't know what all bear. I'm just spitballing. And Cathy would be a better one. I hear you in the background there, Cathy. Tie this into, again, bring it back to Cordova for us.
Sure. So, we have a lot going on in Cordova, as you've alluded to, that is really makes this place special and beautiful. And if we're going to invite visitors to come experience it, we want to do so in a responsible way that is going to have positive impacts for our community and will build up and support existing industries. So one example of that is everyone knows that Cordova has a beautiful, sustainable commercial fishing industry. And there are examples of different communities in other countries and in other parts of Alaska where commercial fishermen are successfully sharing that experience with visitors through an industry called pescatourism. And basically what that might look like is, we're working with some commercial fishermen to explore in what ways this could be feasible, because there are, of course, we have our Copper River salmon and Prince William Sound salmon fisheries, but we also have other fisheries happening in Cordova as well: spot prawn and tanner crab and halibut and rockfish and other things. And not only would this be an opportunity to share this important part of our culture with visitors and possibly introduce those individuals to this awesome product that they may want to enjoy more, but it's also an opportunity to share the message that this type of commercial fishing is sustainable. It is good for the environment. It is helpful to supporting existing populations, and it's an opportunity to combat negative messaging that may be out there in the world regarding commercial fishing and regarding Alaska. So that's one example. And another way to kind of weave that in is we have this burgeoning mariculture industry, oyster and kelp farming, which can be very complementary to our existing commercial fishing industry. And as Mondee said, it is inherently regenerative in the fact that it is, processing carbon while it's in there and creating oxygen while it's floating. It's usable for so many purposes that can support ecosystem recovery and cultural revitalization. And then lastly, I'll say that cultural tourism is growing exponentially around the world. It is, especially for this new generation of travelers, it is the way that they want to experience destinations. They want to have a strong understanding of the culture of a place, of the indigenous history, and the thriving cultures that are still operating in those places. And they want to experience that firsthand. They want to be respectful of it. And they want to learn and grow and have personal growth through travel. And in Alaska, cultural tourism is also growing very, very quickly, and in a way that has been shown to really support and enhance the lives of residents and existing efforts for cultural revitalization of Alaska Native culture.
Good. All right. Thanks for anything, Mondee, you want to add to that?
Sure. I'm just so inspired the more I listen to Cathy. She's really been a powerhouse and done a lot of work in supporting a more sustainable and regenerative economic situation for Cordovans. And so, it just makes me think about, so as far as tourism, it's a like globally, it's a very quickly burgeoning market. It represents $7.6 trillion. Now that's everything. That's hotels and so forth,
Sure.
right? Lodging
Sure.
and experiences and so on. But really, this Impact Studio is designed to support on-ramps to prosperity for the local community to benefit by design. And so when you do that and you also support local culture, it allows places to retain their integrity, their identity, their authenticity, and to keep them the jewels that they are, such that they're a great home for citizens and a great place to visit. So it's really designed to be a win-win situation for all parties involved.
Yeah.
And really an opportunity to get in on something that's growing very quickly worldwide.
Yeah, well, and I last time Cathy and I talked about this subject, I shared some things that I had seen, a documentary I saw actually about this, and a great story out of South America, actually, that I don't think I have time to get back into here, but might do in the close of the program later, because I want to make sure that we, you talked again about the Impact Studio, which is a term basically for an educational opportunity, if I'm understanding it right, that involves different types of connections. There's some meetings and some materials, and it's designed as sort of a way for people who might be interested in getting into this this type of tourism, or this type of thinking
track
about how to do business. It's an accelerated way to do that, kind of a crash course in a way. But how do people sign up? That's what I wanted to get to there. I mean, if somebody wants to get involved, how do they do that?
It's just as easy as either visiting the Cordova Chamber of Commerce website.
Oh, good.
And clicking on the Regenerative tab, or they're welcome to visit Naupaka, this is my company, Naupaka Pacific /Impact Studio, and sign up on there. There is an online application. It's designed to be accessible and not arduous. So it should be very easy to fill out. But if you have any questions at all, reach out to us. We can support and help you with your application.
Okay, Cathy, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to give that direct URL for anybody who would like it. It's cordovachamber.com/regenerative-impact-studio. Hopefully that's not too hard for folks. cordovachamber.com/regenerative-impact-studio. Also, if you're looking at the menu on cordovachamber.com, under the visit tab, you can see regenerative tourism is an option.
Mm-hmm.
Once you click on that, it'll bring you to a page that, like Mondee said, it shows examples of what regenerative tourism could look like, of current offerings in Cordova that could be classified as regenerative tourism and that are working in that direction. And then it also has a link to go ahead and get more information about RISE, about the Regenerative Impact Studio Exchange, and apply.
Okay.
And also, if you're somebody who is on Instagram, our Cordova Chamber Instagram account, it's one of the links in our bio. And also you could go to our Facebook page, Cordova Chamber's Facebook page, and you could scroll through and find the post about the Regenerative Impact Studio Exchange. And the link should be right there as part of that post as well. But yeah, we really want to encourage folks to apply. We've got a couple spots left. The applicants that we've gotten so far are really exciting to see what they have, what they've dreamed up for Cordova. You don't have to have a fully formed business plan. You don't have to have your business figured out. All you need is an idea. If you have an idea of something that you'd like to do in Cordova that you think would be an experience that would be engaging and fun for visitors, and that would have a positive impact on the community, on the environment, on the culture, then this is for you. And, if you're a commercial fisherman, I would seriously encourage you to consider applying for this, because this would be a great way to support your commercial fishing business. It would be a great way to add value to the work that you're already doing with your commercial fishing businesses. And you'd be supporting the entire commercial fishing industry by helping to spread this good news and this good word about Cordova's sustainable fisheries. If you're a kelp farmer, or you even just have a permit in process to be a kelp farmer, I would really encourage you to apply as well, because it seems like a great fit for the work that we're doing. If you are someone who is an Alaska Native tribal member, who is an artist of any sort, or has loves to share information about your culture and about the history and the vibrant current culture, please consider applying. And just to kind of reinforce, this is not going to be a tough program at all. It's going to be some recorded sessions that are informational that you can watch on your own time. It's going to be some scheduled Zoom meetings where we're all going to be getting together via Zoom and going through things. We're going to have mentors available who have already gone through this whole program with Mondee in Hawaii and have come out with successful offerings that are going to be available to help support you along the way. We're going to have experts in different topics like sustainable business and social entrepreneurship and Alaska Native culture and Hawaiian Native culture, and it's going to be an opportunity to really gain knowledge, but also gain support and also feel part of a community. Like, you're not out there just trying to do this on your own. Like, you have other people who are also trying to do it at the same time as you, with you, and supported. And then as you make it through this program, you can come out of it with something that is going to float as a business idea, that has value, and that you've had a lot of input from other people to help you feel confident. Like, yeah, this is a good version of my idea, and it can actually work. And not only that, but you'll have mentors to continue supporting and coaching you for several months afterwards and testing the offering with you. And then we'll be able to upload it to a platform, to an online booking platform where you can take bookings. And that booking platform will be shared out through like very popular channels that independent travelers will be looking at, so that we can help you actually get customers.
Wow. So
Absolutely.
that is comprehensive, as usual, from a Cathy run Cordova Chamber of Commerce. It doesn't surprise me, even though I'm delighted to hear it. It's good to know that anybody whose interest has been stimulated in any way has a place to go very easily, the Chamber of Commerce site. And by the way, Mondee, if you want to email me the link to your organization, if there are people who want to see more of this from what you've accomplished, please email that to me.
Sure.
And I will, because there, as usual, there will be after this show airs, it's going to go on our YouTube channel, and then I've got space obviously down in there to put links to websites and downloads and all kinds of other information. So I hope you'll email it to me. Go ahead.
I wanted to make sure to not forget to mention how grateful we are to Alaska Airlines and Hurtigruten Foundation for supporting the exchange portion of this inspirational endeavor. As far as, so I'm happy to share those links with you. We have a lot of examples on gohawaii.com and our partnership with Kanu Hawaii, or one of our local organizations as well, supporting volunteerism. But in particular, it's one thing to learn about it, it's another to experience it firsthand. And so that's going to be a bonus and benefit. Our Maui focused group will be visiting Cordova, and Cordovans will be able to visit Hawaii as well. Just to want to throw that out there as well.
Good. No, I mean, yeah, it's lots of things to look forward to, and like you said, as there's less of there's more of a move. Which, if you want to say anything good came out of the ridiculous lives we had to lead during the pandemic, some of this shift in focus in this reprioritization, how things kind of shuffled a little bit. Not all of it's awesome, but there definitely have been some things that have been really good about that. And so, the opportunity to learn through connecting while trying to figure out how to develop a place in this industry, that just makes sense, actually, that you would have that would just be built right into your system here. So I really hope that anybody with potential will go to the Chamber site to learn more. Any of you that are listening to the delayed version of this program, check the description on the video, and all the links we can gather up to be helpful to you will be right down in there. Mondee, let's go to you for final thoughts as we wrap up here.
Thank you so much for this conversation today. Really grateful to be working with Cathy, the Cordova Chamber of Commerce, some of our native practitioners locally. We're just so thrilled, and it's quite an honor for me personally, because both of my mentors are from Maui and Cordova. And so it's a way to give back, and it's very heartfelt. And we're very excited to be working with you as our extension of our ohana, our family.
Sure.
So looking forward to seeing those applications come in, and working with the community to have a regenerative plan for tourism.
All right. Cathy, last word to you.
Thank you. Well, Mondee and I are very excited to be putting on this program. It's been a couple years in the making, and it seems surreal that it's actually finally happening. I just want to reiterate what she said, that we are really grateful to the sponsors that are helping to support this, Hurtigruten Foundation and Alaska Airlines. And just to also drive home that point, this is not just a Zoom group. We are also going to be meeting in person. So if you have any interest in connecting with folks from Hawaii, we are going to have the Maui cohort coming to Cordova for Shorebird Festival in May. And then we are planning on the Cordova cohort traveling to Maui. We're targeting January 2025 for that. So this kind of to lay it out for you, there'll be, we'll start in May with the Maui cohort coming here. We'll have some in-person stuff here right after Shorebird Festival. And then we'll do some Zoom stuff for a few weeks. And then we'll just do some kind of quarterly check-ins. We'll have the mentors available to folks. We can do some testing, and then we'll cap it off, next winter in Hawaii. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in doing, please reach out to me personally if you have questions. Most people know how to get a hold of me. I'm in Anchorage for the week, but you can always, send me a text or a Facebook message or an email, or call the chamber. Rebecca's in the office. Stop by. You can talk to her about it as well. And then just check out our website. Go to the CordovaChamber.com, click on visit, click on regenerative tourism, and click on the Regenerative Tourism Impact Studio. Or follow the link in our bio on our Instagram page, or follow the link in the post on our Facebook page. There's a lot of information that I've got out there for you, but I'm happy to answer questions anybody has. And April 12th is the cutoff to apply. So you've got to the end of the week. So think about it. The application is super simple. It's not hard. And like I said, you don't have to have a fully formed business plan. All you need is an idea. And then we will be reviewing applications and getting back to people later in April. And we're really excited to be doing this work. Really grateful to Mondee for her expertise and guidance and support and partnership in this. Thankful to our sponsors. If there's anybody else interested in sponsoring and supporting this event, we would love that. That would enable us to bring more people along with us in this effort, because right now we have a limited number that we can take. And especially if you have any ties to any corporate entities that you think would be supportive of this, that are aligned with the ethos of what we're trying to do, and also just kind of cap it off with thank you, JR, for being supportive like you always are of the efforts that we're trying to do to make Cordova a better place to live, work, and play.
All right. Well, Cathy, as always, very well articulated. Mondee, delightful to meet you. And I do hope folks will take advantage of this. Again, quickly to anybody hearing it on the radio, if you came in the middle or want to hear it again or want to share it with somebody, be watching for this to show up at youtube.com/Cordova TV, complete with links in the description. And thanks again, ladies, for the opportunity to visit. Much appreciated.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. If you're interested in this opportunity, that deadline of April 12th looms not too far away, just a couple days, in fact. So if you want to get a good look, the easiest thing to do is to go to the Cordova Chamber website. That's what I love about doing shows with Cathy, is we talk about stuff and there are all these different facets to the conversation. And, you know, if I was listening, I'd be thinking, okay, well, no, wait, I need to write that, or wait, was that important? It's too much. And then at the end, it's like, you can get all the information from the Chamber website. Okay. CordovaChamber.com. Just navigate your way to regenerative tourism there and see if maybe you can grab one of these last spots. April 12th deadline, CordovaChamber.com. And as I mentioned when I was visiting with the ladies, if you want to follow some other links and you happen to be listening to the archive version of this on the YouTube channel, even if you're outside the deadline and just want to learn more about the concept, follow the links in the description. Because if I've done my job properly, those links are down there and available for you to follow. Big thanks again to Cordova Wireless Communications for sponsoring our program and for all of the outside investment they were able to bring into Cordova simply by existing. $12 million, give or take, because of the structure of Cordova Telecom Cooperative and Cordova Wireless working there together. It not only makes it so these high-tech services that we get from those companies don't get super expensive, but that outside money, those federal subsidies, circulate around the town and help our economy too. And of course, Cordova Wireless helps us a lot to get information out, like our program today. Again, if you joined in partway or want to share this information with somebody else, the show should be ready to launch from the YouTube channel just as soon as I can press the buttons after finishing up here on the radio. And then you can pass that link on to whoever you like. And all your 10 a.m. hour programming that we had to postpone will be coming up for you as always. Thanks for joining us for Town Meeting. If you ever have an idea for a show, let me know about it, and we'll happily investigate. For now, have a great Wednesday. Thanks for listening to KLAM.